Hey guys, it's great to see you again. I hope you guys enjoyed my last deck profile, which was the Vampire deck profile post Battle of Chaos. Unfortunately, in the combo section, I screwed up a little bit and it was brought up into my attention that I activated the Glow of Bloom a little bit too early, locking myself out of the Psy-Frame Lord Omega. However, in the comment section of the last video, I put the correct order you guys should be activating your cards in order to end on the same end board that you would have. However, let's get into today's deck profile. Today's deck has been floating around since around Ghost from the Past, but definitely got the support it needed in Burst of Destiny. That deck being Plant Link. Plant Link is a very powerful strategy, very reminiscent of its cousin Dragon Link. It can usually play through a good amount of interruptions now. Focusing usually on the Sun Avalon and the Aromaseraphy archetype, you're able to generate powerful advantage and powerful boards, usually putting around 4 pieces of interruption, one being a pop, a tribute, a monster or spell negate, and a board-wide monster negate. This deck has quite a good amount of potential, especially if you can establish your board through negates, and can usually end an opponent's turn before they even start. I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile, and let's get right into it. So to start off this deck profile, we're going to start off with the most important starters in the deck, and that's going to be Sip Triple Sunseed Genius Loki, which is our most important start in the deck, along with triple copies of Draconet, and then 2 copies of Rescue Rabbit. You could drop 1 Draconet for another copy of Rescue Rabbit, or you could shuffle around some of the cards in the deck in order to make a 3rd copy of Rescue Rabbit. Unfortunately, in this meta, Rescue Rabbit, the moment you summon it, you normal summon it, you're kind of in a bad state, because if they imperm your Rescue Rabbit, it's dead. If they effect veiler, it's dead, and if they ash it, it's dead. So personally, it's often better just to normal summon the Genius Loki, or normal summon the Draconet, because mind you, these 5 are usually like ash bait, which is actually kind of pretty good for this deck, especially with the further cards in the deck. But these are the main starters. Kind of funny that you have to rely on your vanillas to start with. So moving past the vanillas, we also run triple Lonefire Blossom and triple Sunseed Shadow, along with double Sunseed Twins. These cards are very good. Lonefire Blossom is an integral part of our combo, especially sometimes you can use it as a starter, which is also pretty good because you can use that to go into your vanilla Sunseed. And the Sunseed Shadow is also an extender, which helps us with the deck. With the new Sunvine Sowing, Sunseed Twins becomes an indispensable part of the deck in order to get us recovery, and you kind of have to run all of these. Especially this, because it helps you play past hand traps. Next part of our engine that we're going to be running for the monsters is actually the Rika engine, which is going to be 1 Snowdrop, 1 Mudan, and 1 Primula. These 3 are very strong. You usually can add Primula and Mudan off of your Aromaseraphy links, and then Mudan can get you the Rika Glamour, which is also really important because it can add you the Primula. Besides that, you kind of need to run these 3. It's, and mind you, none of these are really bricks if you see them, except Primula. Mudan's a pretty good extender if you really need it, because you can add the Rika Glamour off of it. But yeah, you need to run these 3 also. Then we're also going to be running 1 Spore and 1 World Carrot Weight Champion. The Sunvine, or the Sun Avalon Shrine, you can use it to toss the World Carrot Weight Champion if you add World Carrot Weight Champion Spore to your hand. And then basically you can toss the Spore off of the World Carrot Weight to summon it, and then activate Spore, and you're able to make usually a rank 4 if you banish a Lonefire, which is pretty important in the combo. So you need to run these 2 also. A lot of these cards are all necessary. The only things you can usually change around are your starters, which would be the Rescue Rabbits and the Draconets. To finish off our package, we're going to be running 1 Mardell and 1 Aromage Laurel. And then we're going to also be running 1 Rose Girl. Rose Girl is kind of an extender in the deck. She doesn't really do anything by herself, but can help you get out of some awkward board states. But the Mardell and the Aromage Laurel are extremely important, because your combo line allows you to gain more life than your opponent. So when you summon the Mardell, you can add the Aromage Laurel and then special summon the Laurel because you have higher life points. And then you're able to link these 2 off into another Aromaseraphy Jasmine and be able to basically get plus off of it. And you're able to add a whole bunch of plants. So that actually is our monster lineup for the deck. You're a very monster-heavy deck. Unfortunately, we lose to skill drain because we don't have any room for spell or trap removal. But we just have to kind of hope that we get to go first, and if we do, we can make boards that usually can play through that sort of stuff. So for our spells, we're going to be running a single 1-for-1 and triple unexpected die to start with. These are ways that you can play past a hand trap, for example. So if you normal summon a rescue rabbit, for example, and you activate its effect to summon out 2 of the vanilla sun seeds and it gets ashed, that's fine. If you have unexpected die in your hand, you can summon out 1 of the sun seeds and continue to go for a combo. It's not as powerful, but it can still get the job done. And then the 1-for-1 is a pretty good extender because you can use it to summon out either the sun seed shadow or you can use it to summon out your vanilla. Besides that, we're going to be running triple Sunvine Sowing and double Sunvine Shrine. This is the card. Sunvine Sowing is what made this deck now very, very resilient to hand traps. Without it, you're kind of screwed, unfortunately. It's a very good extender because oftentimes in the old deck profile, you would only use Shrine and you would have to rely on Shrine for your whole combo lines. But now what you can do is off of your Link 1, you can add the Sowing to summon out your twins and extend even harder and go into crazier endboards much more easily without needing certain extenders like you used to have to play Performance Trick Clown and Zephyr, the Blackwing one, Zephyros. Besides those, we're going to also be running 1 Rika Glamour, which is what you would add off Mudon, and it's pretty important because then it can add the Primula and it can add a World Carrot Weight champion, which is pretty cool also. And then to round off our spells, we're going to be playing the 1 Called by the Graves because we don't want to get hit by hand traps, and we're also going to be playing triple Pot of Avarice. The big issue with this deck is the fact that by the end of your combo, you will actually go through 13 cards in your extra deck. And if your board gets wiped, you have no follow-up plays because your main deck is full of kind of bricks that don't really do anything by themselves. It's all extra deck spam because it's a link-based deck. As such, Pot of Avarice is a guaranteed draw 2 any turn because you will always go through your extra deck and you will most likely go through 5 cards in your main deck before you even start doing comboing. So Pot of Avarice is insane in this deck, and you definitely need to run it to see your sustainability in the deck. Besides these 4 spells, that ends our whole spell lineup, and we can get off into the traps, which is very simple. The only 2 traps we run is a Blessed Wind, and we run a Sun Avalon Bloom. Sun Avalon Bloom was the card I was talking about earlier, where if you activate it, and when it's activated, if you control a Link 4 or higher plant monster when this effect activates, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. So it's a very strong tool to be able to board-wide negate. However, it's not lasting in the sense of a skill drain, so it's not as powerful, unfortunately. But its next effect is also very good in the fact that during the damage calculation, if your Plant Link monster battles, you can activate this effect. It gains attack equal to the combined attack of the monsters it currently points to until the end of the turn. So you can actually OTK using the big Plant Link 4 Sun Avalon, which is pretty strong. It helps you get a good follow-up and just be able to OTK your opponent before they can do anything. That actually rounds off the whole entire main deck. The main deck is 40 cards. Almost all of them are necessary. You can change around the ratios of your Rescue Rabbits and Draconets if you want. If you think that you can throw in 3 Rescue Rabbits and the 3 Unexpected Dies because you want to try baiting more, then fine, because unfortunately Draconet prevents you from using your Unexpected Die if it's ashed. But that's alright. So let's go off into the extra deck. First off, we're going to start with our Sun Avalon monsters, the main ones that start our combos. So we're going to be running double Sun Avalon Dryas, and then we're all going to be running double Sunvine Healer, and 1 Sun Avalon Melius. These cards are they're really, really important. Sunvine Healer allows you to get higher health points than your opponent in order to use your Aromage Laurel and be able to combo off with it, adding more plants and being able to out-resource your opponent. The Sun Avalon Dryas can allow you to add Sowing or Shrine, and the Melius is important because of its links in order to continue doing your combo plays. Next off, we're going to be running triple Aromaseraphite Jasmine. This card is crazy. What you can do is once per turn, which is a hard once per turn, is you contribute one monster that it points to and special summon a plant from the deck. What you can summon is you can summon out a Lone Fire Blossom, then Lone Fire for Lone Fire, and then Lone Fire for Mardell to add your Laurel, and then you can special summon the Laurel, make a second Aromaseraphy Jasmine, which will then allow you to have 2 Aromaseraphy Jasmines on the field while Laurel goes off, giving you life points, and the add effect is not once per turn. It's once per turn per the card, but it's not hard once per turn, so you get to add 2 plant monsters, which is really busted. You need all 3 of these because you are going to go through all 3 of these in a single combo line. Now, we're going to also play 1 Rika Queen Strenna. You can make this off of the Spore and the World Carrot Weight Champion play, and then what you can do is you can detach it in order to add a Lone Fire Blossom to hand, and then special summon a Lone Fire and a Snowdrop, tributing the Rika Queen Strenna to make a cheated out Sacred Beast Hyperion. So, let's get off into our main boss monsters. The main boss monsters from the deck is a Teardrop, the Rika Queen, a Aromaseraphy Sweet Marjoram, Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton, and a Sun Avalon Drytrentier. This will usually be your Endboard, along with the Sun Avalon Trap. Teardrop will allow you to quick effect tribute your opponent's monsters. Aromaseraphy Sweet Margarine will allow you to shuffle a card, like a plant, into your extra deck, so you can usually kind of get like a card like it from your extra deck to fix it, because you may not have Avarice, and then it gets a pop because of your Blessed Winds, because you gain life points. Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton, depending upon the material that's attached to it, whether it be a spell or a monster, can either negate a spell or monster. And then the Drytrentier is the way that we use the trap. It doesn't really do much by itself because all it does is add the Sun Avalon spell or trap from your deck to your hand, but it can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects and also can't be targeted for attacks. However, it doesn't prevent your opponent from attacking you, and during the next turn, it says once per turn you contribute 1 link monster this card points to and destroy any number of cards your opponent controls up to that monster's link rating. It doesn't come up that often. Unfortunately, it's not that great, but because it has a down pointing arrow of 3, the trap actually allows you, because if you put these 3 under this, you actually turn this monster into a, this is 48, 7600 monster. So when it attacks, it turns into 7600, which is very strong. It can usually OTK your opponent, which is the main purpose, and it's also to add the trap. And to round off our monster lineup, those 13 extra deck cards are absolutely necessary. And the last 2 extra deck slots I threw in were just a Sunvine Thrasher, because if you're out of luck and you're not doing that great with card advantage, you can at least make a Drytrentier and a Thrasher and be able to usually make a 4K beater. That will turn into 4K if you have the trap also, and then you can just attack, steal their monster, attack again with the monster. It's pretty good. Unfortunately, it negates the effects of the monster that steals, but that's fine. And then the last monster you're going to be running is Bengalancer, the Resurgent. This card got a lot of hype when Lightning Overdrive came out. Unfortunately, it kind of fell off because it's not that great. What you can do is basically during the main phase, you can quick effect target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and then you take damage equal to its attack, and if you take damage, then you return it to hand. And then if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 2 more link monsters from your graveyard with the combined link ratings equaling this, which is 4. And then you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. It's alright. I mean, usually it's like a backup. You don't really go into it, and what you can do is, like, if you have 2 Aromaseraphy Jasmines in the graveyard and you're kind of out of luck and you're just kind of playing through what you can basically just summon out the Bengalancer if it went to the graveyard by banishing those 2, which is pretty good. That's the deck profile with regards to everything. Now, I actually want to show you guys some combos. The combos can be pretty crazy. This is actually probably one of the hardest decks I've played in a very, very long time, because none of the combos are actually linear. All of them are very, very difficult, so you kind of have to pay attention, and this will be the main combo line. If I screw up, I'll let you guys know, because even I still get confused and make misplays sometimes in this deck. So we're going to start off, like, just say, this is the 1 card start, Rescue Rabbit. So you're gonna tribute Rescue Rabbit by banishing it, and then what you can do is summon out your two, you're gonna summon out your 2 vanillas. From here, since you have your 2 vanillas on the field, what you can do is, usually I'll put this like in the link columns, so it will be, I'm trying to make some room. Usually you'll have it like this, and then this, and these are like the 2 link zones. So these are gonna be the 2 link zones. You're going to link off into a Sun Avalon Dryas, which causes the Loki to go to grave, and then the Dryas effect will activate. Off of Dryas's effect, you will add to your hand a Sunvine Sowing. You're going to activate Sunvine Sowing, and you're going to special summon a Sunseed monster from your deck, and then take 1,000 damage. And because we control this, we can summon out the Sunvine. Otherwise, if we didn't, we could only summon the Sunseed Genius Loki. So, because we have the link, we're able to summon any of the Sunvines. So from this is where it gets really important. We're going to actually summon out the Sunseed Twin. Sunseed, and then we're going to take 1,000 damage. So the 1,000 damage will cause the Dryas to go off, and the Dryas will basically cause us to gain 1,000 life again, be able to cheat out a link monster from the extra deck that's a Sun Avalon. So what we're going to do is we're going to cheat out the Sunvine Healer, and then we're going to activate Sunseed Twin, and we're going to be able to special back the Sunseed Genius Loki. Crazy board that we already got off of 1 card. From here, if you really wanted to and you didn't want to extend any further, you could just literally make the rank 4, and then you can make Dryad Trentier, and then you can make Thrasher, and then if you wanted to OTK, just do that, which is fine. But this is how we're going to make a crazy end board. So now we gain life because of the Dryas. I'm not going to keep track of the life. I'm just going to let you know we have more life. So from here, we're going to be able to link off into the Jasmine. Then we're going to activate Jasmine, tributing the Sunseed Twin. And we're going to be summoning out a... where is it? Lone Fire. Now we're going to activate Lone Fire for Lone Fire. Activate Lone Fire again. And if you want to go for the 3rd Lone Fire, you can, but I wouldn't at this point. You're going to summon Mardell. Mardell's effect is going to activate, adding the Aromage Laurel. Because we have more life points than our opponent, we can special summon the Aromage Laurel. And then we're able to, off of this, link off into another Aromatherapy Jasmine. Because Laurel went to the graveyard, we gain life, and then we can activate Jasmine, adding 2 cards. Because they're not hard once per turn, so we get to add 2 plant monsters. From here, we can add a Spore, and then we can also add Mudon. At this point, what we can do is we can link off these 2 for Sun Avalon Melius. Melius's effect will go off, summoning back the Genius Loki. And unfortunately, this is where it kind of gets hard, because if you screw up your link zones, you can't do anything anymore. So from here, what we can do is activate the Mudon, tributing the Jasmine, because then it clears up our zone to be able to do the link 1, because this is the main important thing. Then we're going to summon out the Jasmine in the zone over here. Or, sorry, the Mudon. We're going to add... the Mudon's going to activate where it gives us the... where is it? It's going to activate giving us the Rika Glamour. Then what we can do is activate Rika Glamour, tributing the Mudon, in order to add Primula. And then because we added Primula, because it says if a monster you control is tributed, I can special summon this card from my hand. Also, because of this, we get to add the World Carrot Weight Champion. So we can special summon the Primula now. And we have World Carrot Weight Champion in hand, along with the Spore. Now, from this point, we can link off again the Genius Loki into the Dryas. The Dryas's effect will go off again, this time giving us a Sunvine Shrine. Sorry if I'm taking a while, I'm just going through this whole entire deck. And if you look at this point now, we basically have 3 card advantage and we're already at this kind of board. From here, you can make a... it really depends. So, what I would do is activate Shrine, tossing World Carrot Weight Champion, and that basically will allow us to summon out another Sunseed. If you've noticed the whole entire combo, this one has sat here, so you can still reach this point without even using this one, so a single Sunseed will actually get you to this point without this. What you could then do is activate the Shrine and basically summon back another Sunseed, but we're going to save the Shrine activation because we have this. From here, we're going to basically link off these two, the Primula and the Dryas, and we're going to go into another Jasmine. Because our zones are now they're in good condition because we haven't screwed our zones up, we can actually link off one more time into a Sunvine Healer, and then Healer's effect going to target the Melius and we're going to gain life, which will cause the Jasmine to go off one more time. From here, we're actually going to add to our hand the Snowdrop. So, now we can basically activate the... Where is it? We're going to activate World Carrot Weight Champion to special summon itself by tossing Spore. So Spore goes to the grave. And mind you, this is already our grave. It's kind of... You have so much stuff in your grave. This is where a Pot of Avarice just comes into play, and it's super clutch. So you can then basically activate the Spore Engrave. Where did I put the Spore? You can activate the Spore by banishing one of your Lone Fire Blossoms to special summon the Spore. From here, because we have now 2 level 4s, we can go into a Rika Queen Strenna. You can also use these two now to link off into a Dryad Trentier. You could have done that earlier, I just chose not to. It doesn't really matter because you still have your zones. Then Dryad Trentier's effect's gonna go off and you're gonna be able to grab yourself a Sun Avalon Bloom. So these are the cards in our hand right now. Off of this, now we can activate Strenna. I'm gonna activate Strenna, detaching Spore, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to add back to our hand a Lone Fire Blossom. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky because from here you can kind of do certain things. What you can do is activate Snowdrop, and you're going to actually tribute the healer, special summoning Snowdrop and the Lone Fire. Running out of space. You're going to summon out those two. Then what you're going to do is you're going to activate Lone Fire, tributing the Strenna, and you're going to summon out a Rose Girl. And now Strenna goes off because she was tributed. You're going to actually summon out your Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton. And then Hyperiton will go off, attaching the Strenna to it as material, because Strenna cheats out this and then attaches it to as material. From here, what you can do is you can now synchro into Aromaseraphine, Sweet Marjoram. Marjoram's effect's gonna go off, giving me a Blessed Wind. Now we have Blessed Wind, Sun Avalon Bloom in our hand. This is the cool part because what you can do is, because you haven't used Rose Girl's effect, you can actually activate Rose Girl, get it back to your hand. And because we haven't activated Shrine, what we can do is we can activate Shrine at this point. Also, mind you, sorry, I put the Sweet Marjoram in the wrong zone. You're gonna activate Shrine, special summoning one more Genius Loki. And this is where the Shrine came in, because mind you, if you didn't, you can end on this board here with a single Sunseed, but if you have like Draconet or what is it called? Or a Rescue Rabbit, it gets you into this. So what you can then do is activate the Snowdrop, the Rika Fairy, targeting itself, making it level 8. And then what you can do is to finish off your board, you XZ into Teardrop, the Rika Queen. And then you set these two, and that's your full end board. You end off with a Monster Negate, You end off with a pop and a shuffle off Blessed Wind. You end off with a tribute off of Teardrop the Rika Queen. You end off with a Sun Avalon Bloom in order to negate their board, and then be able to attack for game next turn with the Dryad Trentier. And you also have a Shrine for follow-up, because it will special summon a Sunseed Genius Loki. And if they can't out your Dryad Trentier because you can't target it for attacks and you can't destroy it by card effect, what you can do is just basically, if these 3 get wiped, activate the Sunvine Shrine, make the Thrasher out of the Sunseed Genius Loki, link it off, it's pointing now, and then what you can do is just attack for 4k, attack for another 4k. This would have stolen one of their monsters and attack with that monster for game. So you have follow-up with regards to that. So you end off with a pretty strong board, and mind you also have a Rose Girl in hand. And this was off 1 card, so you can also have 4 more cards in your hand, which is pretty crazy. Usually, in my hand, I'll end off also seeing on a Sunseed Shadow, because, mind you, if we didn't have that last Genius Loki, we couldn't have made the Teardrop. So if you have the Shadow, you can special summon the Shadow and leave it on the field, and that would be your extender for the Teardrop. But, yeah, this is a pretty crazy end board you can get. Usually, if you're interrupted and, like, you're kind of really shut down, you can oftentimes end on the Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton, the Sun Avalon Bloom, and maybe the Blessed Winds with the Sweet Marjoram and not be able to get the Teardrop. But that's still a strong enough board, because that's at least 1 monster negate, that's 1, like, board-wide monster negate, and then you also have 1 pop of the Sweet Marjoram, and usually follow-up. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and hopefully you guys will tune back in for another one in the future. This took a lot of work, a lot of labbing, a lot of testing. I spent many, many months on this, and I think this is by far the most consistent form to play Plant Link. I hope you guys enjoy, and hopefully when we get the new Sylvan Link, this deck will get even more crazy. Unfortunately, I will most likely just have to swap out either the Bengalancer or the Thrasher for it. But, I hope you guys enjoy, and until next time.